Hey Sugar Plums, welcome to our mug video on phrases and clauses. So we need a new sheet of notebook paper across the top. We're going to be filling in the header in the top right hand corner like always. First and last name, date and period, please. Our header should say mug 14, phrase versus clause. So since the very beginning of our mug notes, we've been talking about phrases and clauses without really specifying the difference between the two. So hopefully this will help answer any questions anyone has about identifying the difference between a phrase and a clause. Like what makes a phrase and why can't phrases be clauses and vice versa. So a phrase is a group of words that can act as a single part of speech. Remember, we've talked about parts of speeches like nouns, adjectives, verbs, prepositions, things like that. So a phrase can act like any part of speech, and a phrase never includes the subject or predicate. So that's the subject, aka noun or verb. So let me ask you this. If a sentence expresses a complete thought and has to have a subject and predicate, can a phrase be considered a whole sentence or part of a sentence? What do you guys think? We can talk about this more in class, but I really want you to consider this question, write down your answer, and we'll talk about it in class. Sentences also contain clauses. Now there's two different types of clauses that I need y'all to understand and know like pronto. I feel like you already do know both of them, but it might be good to review them just in case. So a clause is a group of words that includes at least a subject and a predicate. We have two different types of clauses that we're going to talk about, independent and dependent. Independent clauses are allowed to stand alone as a sentence. So if you take a look at this right here, the principal closed the school. We have the subject, principal. We have the predicate or verb, closed. This group of words can definitely stand alone as a sentence and it would make sense. A dependent clause is also known as a subordinating clause. Typically starts with a subordinating conjunction. We talked about this when we were talking about conjunctions a few videos before. So a dependent clause is used with the main clause to express a related idea, and it cannot stand alone as a sentence. So if you take a look at the highlighted or the pink part of this sentence, because so many students are sick with the flu, if you were to just say this pink part of the sentence, the person who you are saying this to is going to be left wondering, okay, and what happened? Or so what? So this part in pink does not express a complete idea. It needs this first half for the sentence to make sense as a whole. So this right here is a dependent clause. It is dependent on the first half of the sentence. Now we could just as easily take this second half of the sentence and move it to the front, and it would still make sense, and it would still be a dependent clause. Take a look. We could have started the sentence off with, because so many students are sick with the flu, comma, the principal closed the school. Both sentences are grammatically correct. Both sentences are made up of an independent and dependent clause. Remember, clauses contain the noun and the verb. Phrases do not. So take a look at these. I want you to jot these four problems down, and I want you to identify whether the group of words provided are examples of a phrase or clause. So I want you to complete this activity, and we're going to go over this in class. I want to see these four items not only written out, but I want to see you attempt to answer them before I go over this. Let me give you a tip. I want you to go through the group of words in each one, and I want you to tell me, does it have a subject? Do we know what the sentence is about? Okay. Is there a verb in there as well? If it does, you know that you're looking at a clause. Here's another way I like to remember it. You know, like Santa Claus likes to eat cookies, right? Like that's why we leave cookies out for Santa, because I'm assuming he likes them. Because he likes cookies, he probably wants as many as he can have. 2 is a good number. So Santa Claus wants the subject cookie and the predicate cookie. Phrases don't get any kind of cookies, but Santa Claus or clauses need to have the subject and predicate cookie. So go through each of these 4 groups of words and figure out, is number 1 a phrase or clause? Is number 2 phrase or clause? Is number 3 phrase or clause? Is 4 phrase or clause? And we'll go over the answers when we do our note check on Monday. If you have any questions or any concerns, do let me know.